Hey beauties, good afternoon to you, or good morning. It's actually still morning. Thank God for the rain. God is so good. Remember how many months we have been without rain, especially those in the Kingston metropolitan area, and probably some areas, you know, going like you're going Spanish Town, Clarendon, but I know in Hanover, in that side of the hemisphere, let us put it that way, they would have experienced the rain, unlike us here. So I'm giving God thanks, for the rain that we've experiencing. I'm told for the last few days I was out of town working. So God is good, and if you have not yet surrendered your hearts and your minds and your souls to Jesus Christ, please feel free to do so. He's the best being ever. Certainly that would be the best decision you could ever make. All right, beautiful people. I'm a woman who, I consider myself timeless. I consider myself very quantum, very, I want to understand life in its entirety as much as I'm able to. Not to dabble in things that are ungodly and evil, but to understand things, you know what I mean? Because the Bible says we are to be as wise as a serpent. And if you understand who a serpent, for example, like the cobra snake, they can for hours watch their prey. And they can, because of how sort of camouflaging their skin texture is, or it seems as if they have eyes at the back of their heads based on that big round head thing that they have. And they will kind of hypnotize their prey. And then when the prey probably is not really fully conscious, so to speak, and in a sort of a trance, that is when they go in for the kill. You have to be very wise and cunning and smart, but not cunning to do something evil, not cunning to be infamous, cunning to be notable, and have notoriety, not to be infamous, where people seek any and every means to get fame and fortune. No, you wait on God to give you the fame and the fortune for His glory, for His honor, for His praise, and to help others, and obviously to take care of your own self. Now, beautiful people, let me get into the meat of the matter. And I heard the very talented and gifted bounty killer, aka mad, sick, and not good sort of a man, Don't make me cross, hungry, miserable sort of a man. He said something very fundamental, and I have been saying the same. In fact, his colleagues in the business, and when I say colleagues, not necessarily dancehall acts, but just in the entertainment music. Now, some years ago, the very effervescent, the very gifted and talented Gladys Knight, a favorite of mine, one of my favorites, she had wrote an article, or she had mentioned something, and the article encapsulated it, and she stated that she's very concerned about this 21st century singers because they're not promulgating and not putting out in the music world very talented singers. What is happening is that maybe people who are not really so talented, it's not their forte, it's not their calling, are being promulgated and becoming greats, So the world is not hearing solid music from this, today's generation. They may have one or two, but you were speaking in a general sense. And let me link that or juxtapose that to our situation here in Jamaica as it regards dancehall music. I love dancehall music. I love it. I love when an entertainer is very witty with his words. I'm not particular from ever since. This has nothing to do with Christianity. I'm not particular for songs that are just slack and illicit. You know what I mean? Because it must make sense. You can't just be singing something that is slack and illicit and will create some sort of upheaval or mayhem. You must have some sort of a wit. I like when you're very witty with your music and you're very good. If you don't have that lyrical content, make sure that your vocal prowess, your skill, your talent will kind of cover for that. Because we can't be excellent in everything, but you must be excellent in one or two things and great in some, good in some, maybe not so hot in some. That's life. And we have to accept that. Now, when the warlord basically stated, the governor stated that, he's not, and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, that the music that is being promulgated now in dancehall is not, it's different, yes, but it is not weighty. it is almost like it is baseless and weightless. It doesn't have that meat behind it. The vocal prowess is not there. The lyrics is not really there. One or two. We're not talking about the one or two artists. So don't call it one or two names to me. I'm talking about in general across the board. Now, if we were to go back in time from in the not to before, when I probably was a little girl or before I was born, when you had oh my God, what's the name of that guy there again? His name soon come to me. But all right, let me start from who I remember. Like from the Admiral Bailey, before the Admiral Bailey days. And they had Professor Nuts. Professor Nuts is very, very gifted and talented, man. Very comedic, but he's good with his lyrics. If you listen to it, he's talented. You have, Yellow Man. You have Super Cat. Super Cat is so good. Then, you know, you have, oh, well, I wouldn't bother mention Shabba Ranks. God, Shabba is so good, and I'm seeing Shabba performing at some stadiums with some crowds even to this day. That man is very talented. He's very gifted. I'm trying to remember that name. I'm seeing some of their name. I can't call their names, you know. We have like the Papa Sands and the Stitches I'm talking about before they would have crossed over into Christianity. But I mean, you can call a plethora of names. Then we come into the Beanie Mans, the Bounty Killers, and oh, Ninja Man. How could I forget the great Ninja Man? And you have, you know, I mean, you could call many, many names. I may not be calling all the names right here and now. But you know that if you were to go and just look at a catalogue of artists coming from the 80s and 90s, the early 2000s, you had a plethora, many great top artists. Mad Cobra, as they come to my mind, I will just call their names. I don't some of the songs I know I might not necessarily know their names. And when I look and I listen to in today's world, some of the artists, I was watching something, you know, I'm very dramatic when I'm ready, you know, like I will demonstrate things to people. And I saw a guy performing for about 15 minutes. You know, Sizzler is very good. All of him kind of dancehall and, you know, conscious. And I don't know what the guy said. And no matter, it doesn't matter in terms of the dialect. He really was, it was not good. The vocal skills, the vocal prowess, it sounded like a dog scraping his throat. It sounded like, you know, a cat meowing. It sounded like an animal, like a dog. All I just see the guy went about for about 15 minutes. I don't know what he was saying. And I know the crowd, it's only if they hear the rhythm, they might say, I think it's this song he's singing. I know they could not hear it. My ears are clean and clear. I'm Jamaican. I'm exposed to dialects, to patois, or Creole like everyone else. So, I mean, when you're going for 15 minutes and you're paid a humongous amount of money, it's something that confuses the mind. Some of you artists, you need to go back to the drawing board. Look at your predecessors. Listen to how they did. I'm not saying that you can't put your own style and be quantum, be different with it. We're living in a different time and age. You know, we're now in 2023. It's different from in the 80s, but it doesn't mean that your history can't guide you. If you're not talented, do not go into the field. I don't know. These days, everybody feel like from they're Jamaican, they mean that they're a dancehall artist or an athlete or something of the sort. It has to be your calling. Don't look at it because, Lord, we can make some money out of it, you know. It's like people who are going into certain professions, you know, like when they do professional degrees. I call professional degrees like law, actuaries, doctors, and so on. Because you study, it's almost like you just do the first degree and you're contracted to be, and you're now commissioned, and licensed to be who you are to be. For example, you're licensed to be a lawyer, doctor, an actuary, and so on. You don't have to necessarily go up to PhD level before they, you know, dub you a psychologist or a counselor or whatnot, so to speak. Work on your craft if there is some sort of a potential. Go and do voice training. Some of you are off key. As much as Bounty Killer them and Beanie Man are not singers, they sing, they DJ on key. They DJ on key, and you can hear what they're saying. You can hear their voices are very clear, and that is why their music will be timeless. I bet you from 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when you play back some of their songs, it sounds good. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when you play back some of your songs, it's not necessarily going to be that effective. It's going to sound like somebody said, oh my God, people really produced this? This is wishy-washy, it's mediocre, it sounds like a dog barking, a dog that is hoarse, or a dog that has laryngitis. It sounds terrible. It doesn't sound good, and I'm not saying this to knock anybody. But work on your craft. You understand? Let our music be competitive. Don't let the people abroad thinking that, you know, and it's not all, because you have some of them current dancehall acts that are good. You know? I'm not talking all, but some of you, I don't know what it is that you're doing. you know. I don't know what it is that you're doing. Maybe it's your wrong calling, the wrong choice. But bounty killer is not bad mind. You know, every time people give stating facts or giving some sound advice, it may be harsh when it says, but everything linked to bad mind is ridiculous. It does not sound good. That's just reality. Fix it. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.